So, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Webinar Wednesday from Sight and Sound Technology. My name is Stuart Lawler, and I'm the head of digital content here at Sight and Sound. Delighted to be with you for another one of our monthly webinars. And what a session we have for you today, something that's close to my own heart, and that is the subject of music accessibility. And specifically, we're going to be looking at accessibility of MuseScore and Braille music input. More about that very shortly. Now, if you'd like to get in touch with us today, and I think a lot of people will, you can do so via chat if you want by accessing the chat button on your Zoom client of choice. If you're on the PC, that's Alt and H, or you can activate the chat buttons on Android or iOS. Sharon from Sight and Sound, my colleague Sharon Lyons, is here and is monitoring chat, and we will relay your questions to Peter and Sarah as we go along. You can also raise your virtual hand if you want to do that. On Windows, it's Alt and Y, or you can activate the raise hand button on your client of choice on iOS or on Android. And we will take questions for Peter and Sarah after the presentation proper. Now, there's quite a few people today who might be new to Sight and Sound webinars. So just to give a little bit of self-promotion for 2 seconds, we run these sessions on the first Wednesday of every month. We deal with all sorts of tech and indeed sometimes non-tech related topics, and you're always welcome to join us. If you'd like to keep up to date with what we're doing and join our webinar Wednesday mailing list, please either put a message in the chat or you can send an email to me from the meeting registration link that you received to join this session. We're always keen to have new people join our Webinar Wednesday group. So today, I'm delighted to welcome Peter Jonas from MuseScore and Sarah Morley-Wilkins from the Daisy Braille Music Project. If you listen to the Sight and Sound Technology podcast, you will have heard Sarah on a previous show. We were talking that time about the Braille Music Project and what that project was doing. Lots have happened since then, and the latest output from that project really is what we're talking about today, which is Braille music in MuseScore. I'm sure lots of people have questions about MuseScore and what it is, and you're going to find out about that today. And Peter Jonas is going to talk to us in just a moment. And Peter is a developer with MuseScore and an ambassador around accessibility. So I'm going to hand over to Peter and Sarah, who will present and show us some videos. And after that, we'll go to raised hands and chat and hopefully answer all your questions. We are aiming to do this in the hour. So when we do come to your questions, we will be really grateful if you would keep your questions and your comments as concise as possible so that as many people as possible get to have their voice heard. Peter and Sarah, thank you sincerely again for giving us your time. And Peter, I'm very happy to hand over to yourself.
Thank you very much, Stuart. And it's great to be here and speaking to you all at the Sight and Sound Technology webinar. So I'm Peter Jonas from MuseScore. I'm a developer at MuseScore, and I'm also a community ambassador. And so let's get on with the show. So as you probably are well aware, MuseScore 4 is the world's most popular music notation program. It's free and open source. It runs on Windows, macOS, and Linux, and it's translated into over 30 different languages. And it's accessible to various screen readers, including NVDA and VoiceOver, and it also works with Braille displays. And you can download MuseScore for free at musescore.org, and support materials are available at musescore.org/accessibility. Now, you may not be aware, because we only announced it last week, but this year in 2024, MuseScore 4 is actually going to be getting a new name. We're going to be renaming MuseScore to MuseScore Studio. And I'll go over the reason for that in a minute, but you can rest assured that the only thing that's changing is the name. It will still be free and open source from musescore.org. So why are we renaming it? Well, the reason is that we want to differentiate the MuseScore desktop program from another of our products, which is musescore.com, which is the largest online sheet music catalog and also the largest online sheet music community. And MuseScore.com is a website where musicians and MuseScore users can upload scores that they create in MuseScore 4. And then you can go on to MuseScore.com and download those scores. And it's free to download scores that are original creations by the users who uploaded them, or their public domain arrangements. And you can download them in a variety of formats, including PDF, MIDI, MP3, and crucially, Music XML. As we know, Music XML is a great format for accessibility. It has all that semantic music data inside it that you can then open in other music notation applications or convert to other formats like Music Braille. But not everything on MuseScore.com is free. We do have a subscription, and the subscription covers licensed content. So that's all the contemporary music like the Ed Sheeran, the Disney, and so on. If you want to download that kind of music, then you'd need to pay the subscription. And the revenue from that subscription is shared with the artists and publishers who own the copyright to that music. And the leftover money then is used to develop MuseScore.com and the MuseScore desktop program. And that's how we managed to keep the MuseScore desktop program free for everyone. I should just let you know, if you do subscribe on the website, you can only download community scores. The official scores can't be downloaded. You'll know on the website, the official scores are very clearly labeled. It's just to do with some arrangements we have with the rights holders. But that's okay, because there's over 1 million scores on the website that you can download. And there's over 1,000 scores get uploaded each and every day. So there's plenty on there for you. Now, MuseScore and MuseScore.com are part of the Muse Group family of applications. Muse Group is the parent company, and we make various applications, including Audacity, which is another free and open source program for editing audio, audio.com, Ultimate Guitar, a Staff Pad, and a few other apps. And recently in December, we announced that Hal Leonard, the world's major music publisher, is joining the Muse Group family. So that will give MuseScore users access to Hal Leonard's extremely vast back catalogue of scores. So that's something to look forward to on MuseScore.com. Now let's get back to MuseScore 4 and its accessibility features. So MuseScore 4 was released in December 2022, so that's just over a year ago. And it has a completely reworked user interface. It's all modern and slick, and it has realistic instrument playback via Muse Sounds. And in that 4.0 release, we added, finally, proper accelerando and ritardando markings that actually make the score speed up and slow down. And we made lots of engraving improvements, including smarter horizontal spacing, better automatic placement, the slurs, ties, accidentals, and all those musical symbols you have in your score. And of course, that's crucial, especially for musicians who, if you're a composer and maybe you can't see very well, or maybe not at all, then obviously you're going to be relying on MuseScore to lay out those symbols for you on the page if you're making sheet music that you want to give to a sighted musician. So in MuseScore 4, you can rest assured that we're doing a much, much better job of getting that automatic layout to look nice right from the get-go without any extra effort required. So what about features then specifically aimed at an accessibility audience? So for low vision users, MuseScore 4 has a highly customizable interface, and you can choose between 2 high contrast themes, a light high contrast theme and a dark high contrast theme. You can change the UI fonts, and you can increase the text sizes to make sure that everything is nice and visible on the screen for you. And within the score, you can modify the notation. You can literally create modified stave notation right within MuseScore that is tailored to suit whatever visual requirements you have. So within the page settings, and you'll find all of these settings in the format menu in MuseScore. In the format page settings, you can increase the staff size, and in the format style dialog, you can adjust all the different text sizes and engraving settings. And once you've found a look that works for you, you can save this style via format, save style. This creates a file on your hard drive that has this notation style in it. And then when you open other scores, you can instantly load that style into the other scores to make them look the same. And via, again, format, save style, format, load style. And you can even set in the preferences this style to be your default so that all newly created scores will have this special look that meets your requirements. And RNIB and other agencies use exactly these methods to produce modified stave notation in MuseScore. And we have other forms of accessibility as well for color blindness and dyslexia. You can change the background colors and the page colors, different accent colors for buttons, if that helps you to make out different bits of the interface. And there's plugins that will color the notes by pitch. Maybe if you find it difficult to read the pitches on the stave, but if you color the notes in, then that can make it easier. And you can just show the note names or add the solfege notation within the score as well. But what about accessibility for blind users? So with MuseScore 4, we added support for voiceover. MuseScore 3 already supported NVDA going back many years, but for the first time in MuseScore 4, we added screen reader support on macOS with voiceover. And we also MuseScore works pretty well with Orca on Linux as well, and Narrator on Windows. JAWS is a bit of a work in progress, but we'll get there soon, hopefully. And as well as screen reader support, we have a new hierarchical system of keyboard navigation. So rather than just getting around the interface with the tab key, which might take hundreds of presses to get around, you can use some other shortcuts as well to make it quicker. So we have F6 or the grave accent key. You can use either of those as a to hop straight from section to section and panel to panel within MuseScore. So maybe straight from the mixer to the palettes. Tab will take you between control groups and then use the arrow keys to access individual controls within the groups. Within the score, the screen reader provides access to the print notation, and the screen reader will describe what's happening in the score, so what the note is and any text or articulations that are attached to that note. And you can use keyboard shortcuts to navigate through the score. If you use the left and right arrow keys, that will take you between notes and rests in the score. If you hold the Alt modifier, Alt left and Alt right, that will take you between elements that are not just notes and rests. That will also take you to text and articulations and things that are attached to notes. If you hold Shift and use left and right, then you can use this to create a range selection. So you can actually select a range of notes in the score. And I can demo this now. So as I press right and left, I'm moving between the notes in the score. If I hold the Alt modifier, I can move not just to notes, but also to bar lines and to slurs in the score. And if I hold Shift, I can select a range of notes in the score. And then I could do something to those notes, like delete them all or change the pitch. So other shortcuts include the up and down arrow keys that you can use to change the pitch of any notes you've selected. You can use Alt up and Alt down to move to different voices and staves in the score. If you press F2, that will allow you to edit lines or text that you have selected. N is the shortcut for note input mode, and the spacebar is the shortcut to start and stop playback. And once you finish creating your score, you can then export it to Music XML and then to Braille. So at this point, we've reached what I imagine many people have been waiting to hear about, which is the Braille features that have recently been added in recent releases of MuseScore 4. And to discuss those, I'm going to hand over to Sarah Morley-Wilkins from the DAISY Consortium, who helped to run this project.
Thank you, Peter. Right, I will share my screen and do a little introduction. I have a thumb up that you can see my screen now. Thank you. So I'm the project manager of the DAISY Music Braille project, and we were looking to secure the future of music Braille production and use worldwide. We wanted to put in place some strategic interventions which would safeguard music Braille for the future, whether that's hard copy or digital Braille. And the DAISY Consortium was the place for that to happen. So the DAISY Consortium, to give you a bit of background, is an international non-profit membership organisation which sets out to improve access to reading for people with print disabilities. They lead standards of good practice around the world, and they work with technology companies, standards agencies, and agencies of and for blind people and people with print disabilities to make these changes. Now, we decided that the music Braille was a specific area that needed specific attention for a period of time. So the DAISY board and DAISY members co-funded the music Braille project. Now, in 2017, when this started, and the reason all this came about was because there was a common international concern about the decline of use and production of music Braille. And the downwards spiral meant that people weren't requesting it and they weren't producing it, and then students weren't studying it, and the whole thing became a very worrying time. So we set out to try and address these problems of declining expertise, production tools that were a bit more effective for global use, the improvements in file formats that were making it very difficult for music Braille to be produced consistently, and improve file sharing so that we reduce the duplication of effort around the world. So in 2018, we published a requirements report, and our vision as a result of that research was that musicians who read Braille enjoy timely and affordable access to music, increased numbers of accurate music Braille scores in hard copy and digital formats produced by effective and reliable conversion tools. So after a few years of global collaboration, we've made some successful strategic interventions, and this MuseScore work is just one of those elements. We wanted to support the development of low-cost, or even better, no-cost conversion tools which suited professional transcribers as well as end users themselves making and reading music. We wanted to improve, and we have improved, the accessibility of music file standards, so that's Music XML itself, and the notation tools, so that the interfaces were more accessible and that the file formats they generate include better Music XML tags for conversion into accessible formats. We've started a born accessible music publishing agenda with the mainstream music publishing sector, so that if they produce more born accessible scores, it's much easier for everyone to get their hands on scores and much easier for immediate conversion into accessible formats. We've also supported composers and engravers who create the music using notation tools with some guidelines of how to do that well, so that the files they create lend themselves to accessibility. We've increased the numbers of music Braille files that are able to be shared by improving global collaboration. We've agreed metadata for music Braille files so that files are easier to find and retrieve and you know what you're going to get. And working with online global collections such as Bookshare, NLS in the States, and the ABC Global Music Service, Global Book Service, it's a Freudian slip there, which now includes music. We've also helped to improve access to teaching and learning resources around music Braille by collating online resources available in different languages and for different user groups, and helping to make sure that the sector is generally better connected. So specifically, as part of our requirements, in addition to the tool for professional transcribers, we wanted a tool that end users could use themselves, where they could read, create, manipulate, and share music with their sighted peers, and teachers, students, professionals could all work together. And we chose to support the SAOMI Music Braille Converter, made in Vietnam, and MuseScore separately, but particularly because they were going to work well together. So the Seomai Music Braille Converter is a free tool from the Seomai Centre for the Blind in Vietnam. It has a desktop and an online converter, so it's really useful for any users. It takes in music XML files and MuseScore files. It has lots of configuration settings that improve week on week so that you can create exactly the right score for your users, no matter what format you use or Braille code. And it generates a Braille file ready for you to emboss or that you can read directly on a Braille display. And the Seomai Music Braille Converter is particularly attractive because it's part of a full Braille conversion program that's suitable for converting all kinds of materials into Braille. So whether that's science, maths, diagrams, music, or regular text, the Seomai Braille Converter will do all of those things, and it's free. And MuseScore also approached us at the same kind of time. We knew that they'd already made lots of accessibility improvements and were looking to make some more. So we were able to share our requirements for Music Braille with them and accessibility of their interface and of their output for accessibility purposes. So we liked it because it was free, it was open source, and it was a mainstream tool. It had a wide user base with great support networks so that blind and sighted people could work together on an even footing and support each other. We helped with some of the accessibility requirements for the interface and export of their file formats. And we were very happy to be able to support MuseScore and Seomai Braille to work together so that we could add live Braille into MuseScore and also 6-key Braille input, which I know Peter's going to demonstrate shortly. So that's a bit of the context in which this work was undertaken. If you want to find out more, our project pages are www.daisy.org/musicbraille, and you can reach me at musicbraille@daisy.org. We've got mailing lists, action groups, working groups. So if you do want to get in touch, please email me and have a look at our website. And now I'll hand back to Peter.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay. Right, so let's take a look at these Braille features then that were added in MuseScore as a result of the DAISY project. So first up, DAISY were keen to improve MuseScore's music XML export. So this is because Seomai Braille was going to be an external music XML to Braille converter, so it needs good music XML to begin with. So we made various fixes in MuseScore to improve the music XML export. So these were things like music XML export for invisible elements, hidden staves, and various other fixes. And in addition, we made various accessibility fixes that would be designed to make it easier for a blind person to create music in MuseScore in the first place. So this was adding more screen reader output for various notation elements that didn't have it at the time, such as different note head shapes or tuplets with more than 10 notes and various other esoteric things that can happen in music scores. And maybe in some parallel universe, that would have been all that we did as part of this project, and it would have been very valuable, but perhaps not the most interesting thing to have happened. But something unexpected happened while we were in the process of preparing these fixes for DAISY, is that as MuseScore, as a free and open source project, the source code, MuseScore, the program source code, is available on the website, and anyone is able, if you're a programmer, anyone can download that code and tinker with it and try to improve the program. And it just so happened that a couple of years ago, while everybody was under lockdown and certain people were under furlough and didn't have very much to do, that a open source hobbyist developer, a community member named Andre Tuchu, I hope that's how you pronounce your name, Andre, I'm very sorry if it's not, he decided to, of his own accord, without any prior prompting, he decided to implement Braille export in MuseScore 4. So This was the ability within MuseScore to go to the File menu, Export, and pick Braille instead of PDF or Music XML. And this will produce a BRF file directly in MuseScore. And according to Andre's code that he wrote, the Braille is of the North American ASCII encoding, and it's bar over bar layout. Now, Andre himself is not a Braille reader. He just saw that various people wanted this and decided to give it a go. So his implementation has some limitations, like there's no lyrics in the Braille output. There's no options to configure the output for the different regional variations of music Braille, and it's missing various symbols, but it provided a great starting point for learning the notes, the intervals, octave rules, and all the basic rules of music Braille. So as a learning tool, Andre's work was a really great thing to have in MuseScore. And while I and Salmai and MuseScore were sat down with Daisy and we were deciding what to do as part of our project, when this Braille code came in from this community developer, we realized that we could expand our project beyond the initial goals that we had, and that we'd actually be able to add some Braille features directly in MuseScore itself. So not just exporting Braille, but some Braille within MuseScore. So the new features that we were able to implement are a Braille panel within MuseScore that shows the score as music Braille, and it updates live when you make changes in the score, and 6-key Braille input. So this is the ability to write, to enter notes in the score in Braille music notation. And I have a video now that I'm going to share, which I recorded with James Bowden from RNIB, where we demonstrate these features. So I'll play the video. Hi, I'm Peter Jonas, MuseScore Community Ambassador. Let's check out a new accessibility feature coming soon to MuseScore 4, a live Braille view. Thanks to support from the DAISY Consortium and Salmai Centre for the Blind, you will have the option to view Braille within MuseScore via a new panel below the score. For sighted users, the Braille will show up in the panel as actual Braille dots, no special fonts required. For blind users with Braille terminals, the Braille dots will appear on your refreshable Braille display. I'm here at the RNIB offices in London with James Bowden, RNIB's Braille Technical Officer, who's kindly agreed to demonstrate the feature for us. So, James?
Hi, Peter. It's great to be here and great to have you with us. So we have on the screen a string quartet, and I can use the computer keyboard and MuseScore in the normal way with the screen reader. And I've also got a Braille display which will show me some Braille music when we ask it to. Let's hear first what the speech says as I cursor through this score. So I'm pressing cursor right.
Note 5 crotchet. Bar 1 beat 1 staccato above tempo allegro assai dynamic P.
The speech you heard was from the screen reader. Now the Braille display is also showing the words that the screen reader spoke. Note A5 crotchet bar 1 beat 1 staccato above tempo allegro assai dynamic P. Now as I cursor through, each note will be described individually like that. So let's cursor one more.
Note G5 crotchet. Bar 2 beat 1 staccato above.
Again, quite a lot of information to take in. So G5 crotchet, bar 2 beat 1, etc., etc. So what we're looking at here is the accessibility which has been in MuseScore for the past few years. It's great, but you're reading one note at a time. So there's a lot of information to take in about each note. And if I want to learn a whole piece, there's quite a lot to read through. If I press Tab, I'll get to this Braille window.
Live Braille, normal mode edit.
And on the Braille display, it now shows live Braille, normal mode edit. That's what the screen reader just said. But afterwards, I've got, in Braille music notation, a whole bar: staccato, 5th octave, G crotchet, staccato, F crotchet, staccato, E crotchet, staccato, D crotchet. And all of that information is in that little space between my fingers.
Wow, so a lot more compact.
a lot more compact, and I'm reading the whole bar at a time rather than one note at a time.
Do all blind musicians use Music Braille?
No, not at all. So just like not all sighted musicians use printed score, by no means all blind musicians use Braille music either. We need the speech and the Braille because it gives you the choice. You can either use the speech, or you can use the Braille, or you can use a combination of both. So far, we've been looking at a piece of music that's already been written. What's really cool, not only can I read Braille music on the Braille display, I can also write music into MuseScore in Braille music notation, and it will appear on the screen as print music. Now I do that using 6 keys on the laptop keyboard, S, D, F, J, K, L, in different combinations representing the 6 Braille dots. And let's see how it works. So let's go into note input mode by pressing N. And I want to D minim, and I'm going to press dots 1, 3, 5, or S, F, and K.
F,
And a C quaver,
F,
and a B quaver.
J, D.
So it's the letters S, D, F, and J, K, L. These 6 keys basically represent the 6 Braille dots that you can have in a Braille cell, and you press them all together in the combination that you need.
So how important do you think these features are?
I think it's really exciting that MuseScore has taken on this challenge of adding Braille support to increase the accessibility and to be able to use a free program and write a piece of music which could be printed out and given to somebody else to play. Now, with these Braille features as well, we're entering really exciting times.
How is this helpful for a blind person and a sighted person to work together?
I guess you can see each other's language. There's a lot of music teachers out there who can see, and they might have a student who can't. The teacher can't necessarily read Braille themselves, but it's useful to refer to what the student is actually reading. It might even be vice versa, by the way. You could have a blind music teacher who has a sighted student. So it's useful to be able to see what each other's seeing.
Okay, James, thanks very much for giving us this quick tour of the new Braille features coming soon to MuseScore 4.
And thank you, Peter. It's good to see you again. And thank you to MuseScore for your continuing commitment to accessibility.
You're welcome. And of course, we weren't the only people involved in this project, so let's hear quickly from our friends at Daisy and Saomai.
I'm Sarah Morley-Wilkins, the project manager of the Daisy Music Braille project, and we at the Daisy Consortium are really excited about the benefits that live Braille input and output in MuseScore will bring to blind and sighted musicians working together in education, in amateur and in professional environments.
I am Đặng Hoài Phúc, Executive Director of Summer Center for the Blind, a non-profit organization based in Vietnam. It's been a pleasure to work with MuseScore and Daisy to bring Music Braille software to musicians around the world.
So thank you to our friend Daisy and Saomai. And if you're interested in Music Braille, you might want to check out the Music XML to Braille conversion tool that Saomai have recently released on their website. That was also supported by Daisy, and we improved the Music XML output in MuseScore specifically to help it work with such conversion software. So that's something worth checking out in the link in the description. And stay tuned for further details about accessibility in MuseScore. Thanks very much for watching. So, yes, I accidentally stopped my screen share, but I hope you enjoyed that video there with myself and James Bowden at RNIB. And if we now, yep, so that was that video. And so all that remains then is for me to say thanks very much for watching the presentation. And don't forget that you can download MuseScore for free at musescore.org. Support materials are available at musescore.org/accessibility. And of course, don't forget that MuseScore 4 will soon be renamed MuseScore Studio. And of course, there's also the Daisy contact links as well, daisy.org/musicbraille and musicbraille@daisy.org. So thanks very much for watching.
Thanks, Peter, and thank you very much, Sarah, as well. It's been great to see all the work that's been going on. I know a lot of people have worked really hard to bring us to where we are today, and judging by what I could see popping up and down in the chat as we were going along, there's people with lots of questions. I don't have too many raised hands at the moment. I'm sure we will have, so just a quick reminder that you can raise your hand by pressing Alt and Y, or you can activate the appropriate raise hand button on your client of choice if you're on the mobile platform. Let's maybe, if it's okay, pop over to Sharon to see how chat is going, and there may be a couple of things that Sharon might like to bring to our presenters. So Sharon.
Hi, hello. Yes, there's been quite a few questions on chat. The first question here from Annie is, how do you change tempo in MuseScore 3? She could do it easily on in the play section, but now in MuseScore 4, she can't do it that way. Is there a different way in MuseScore 4?
Yes.
To change tempo, yeah.
So the questioner could be asking a couple of different things here. So one is, how do you insert a tempo marking in the score in order to say that I want the score to be allegro or andante, and then how do you set the playback for that? And the answer is that you add your tempo marking from the palettes, which are, in fact, I can share my screen as I do this, just a second. So you can add tempo markings that are available in the palettes in MuseScore, and there's a new tempo palette, and within the tempo palette you'll find all different pre-made tempos, and you can add these into the score. And once it's in the score, you can select it with Alt left and Alt right, and then you press F2, and that will allow you to change the text in the tempo marking. And you can also go to the properties panel. So in MuseScore 3, it was called the inspector. In MuseScore 4, we called it the properties panel. And here you can override the written tempo in order to set an exact number of beats per minute for your tempo marking. So that is how you set the actual tempo of the score, if you like. But when it comes to playing back a score for rehearsal purposes, you might decide that you want to play the score at half speed, and you can do that in the play panel. And this is a dockable panel in the toolbar at the top of the screen. And this panel can be undocked. And once it's undocked, you can adjust the tempo as a percentage. So set it to 40% or 120% of the written tempo in the score. That I will have to investigate exactly how you would do that using the keyboard, but if that's not possible, then that's certainly something that we will fix in a future update.
Yeah, because I think it's looking, yeah, I think that Annie found some information on the web, but it was directed at sighted users, so she just wanted to know how to do it without the mouse. Okay, and you did refer to some ways of moving around the different parts of the screen earlier, so that would apply then to like F6 and things like that.
That's right. So F6 will take you from panel to panel. So if you press, you'd probably have to press F6 and tab a few times, and you'd eventually get to the play panel, which contains or it would be called the playback toolbar. It contains the play button and the rewind button. But I'm not sure if it is possible to undock that toolbar via the keyboard. So I will, if it's not possible, then I'll get on that and report that to the developers as soon as we're done here. In the meantime, you can always add a tempo marking in the score and control the playback that way if you can't get to the play panel.
Okay. Another question, a question from Andre. Is there a way to get Unicode Braille out of it?
So for the Braille export at the moment is it only exports ASCII Braille, within the Braille panel in MuseScore that actually displays Unicode Braille. So we do have the capacity to convert, but I don't think we expose that to users. So at the moment, you just get ASCII Braille. There's probably online converters that would convert that to Unicode for you. But we would,
I think the Sal May Braille Center can do that. There's Hampeng Hu.
Yes, Haipeng Hu. Yes, he was very instrumental on this project as well. He was our Braille technical consultant on this Braille project. It is, and if you're wanting to export Braille, for example, for embossing, then we would recommend you use an external converter like the Sao Mai converter. You'll get better results than with MuseScore's internal Braille capabilities. But the MuseScore built-in one is good for learning purposes and so on.
Great. Bear with me, just working through these. We have a lot of hands up actually, Stuart. I just noticed. So
Yeah,
I don't know whether you want to switch to hands.
We'll go to some hands and we'll come
Yeah.
back to if there's any chats. I know there's a few questions on chat, but we'll try and get a few hands done. So we have, and I hope I pronounced these correctly, and apologies if I don't. We have Yokano, who has had their hand up for ages. So Yokano, I hope you can unmute yourself, and we would love to hear your question. I've just sent you a request to unmute.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you? Very
good.
Thank
you.
I have a question about the chord symbol for the print music using MuseScore.
As in a chord diagram, or as in what do you mean by a chord symbol?
Chord symbol means, okay, so first bar is C7, second bar D-7, those
yes,
chord symbols.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In print music.
In print music, yes.
Yeah. Also Braille too. How do they come out in Braille score?
So I'm not sure if the chord symbols will come out in the Braille. It's probably one of the things that is currently missing from the Braille output. But in the print notation, they will come out, and the screen reader should describe the chord symbol to you within while you're in MuseScore using the screen reader.
And I can write the chord symbol myself.
You can. I'm not an expert on chord symbols, but I believe that there is a guide online, and you type in some special syntax. It's nothing too esoteric. It's quite straightforward, so I'm told. You type in the special syntax, and then it will be rendered exactly how you'd hope it would be rendered.
Usually up here, like I say, the lyrics is go underneath the staff, and then chord symbol appeared on above the staff. So you can control that too. Yeah.
That's exactly what happens. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for your question. Okay. I'm going to keep going with hands here. So we're going to hear from Timothy Jones, and then we'll hear from Alexandra Casqueru. So Timothy, you should be able to unmute yourself.
All right.
I think we have you. Yep.
So I am thoroughly enjoying this because I've been a user of GoodFeel for a long time. But one of the problems with GoodFeel is you aren't able to just type Braille music using the 6-dot combinations. And I noticed that the keyboard resemblance used in that video was the same as what you used to type Braille with Duxbury. And I was wondering, in Duxbury and programs like it, I can type on a Focus Braille display or any other display that has a Perkins keyboard. Will that work for this program as well?
Not currently. I believe that hasn't been implemented yet. So
I would love to see that, because Perkins keyboards are a little more comfortable to type on due to the size of the keys and the layout and feel of it.
yeah, I've heard from a few people that they would like that feature, so that's certainly something we'll consider for the future.
Okay, probably one of the easiest ways to do it, at least in Duxbury, they have you can just press like a certain key on the keyboard. For them, it's F2, and that turns 6-key input off, and then it will let you type whatever you'd want to on your external keyboard.
Okay, that sounds like a sensible way of doing it. The reason that we are not currently interfacing with the Braille display is that we're actually relying on a third-party library to do the interface for us. So we're not directly interfacing with the Braille display, and that's why we're just using the keyboard with the 6-key input. But we've become aware of various limitations with this approach. So in the future, it does look like we will have to interface directly with the Braille display, and that would enable that 6-key input as well.
That would be so exciting.
All right, thanks for your question, Timothy. Appreciate that. I'm going to move on because we have a few more hands. So Alexandra, you should be able to unmute yourself. And I'll just try that again. And if not, we'll come back to you. We'll keep your hand raised and come back to you later on. So let's go to Corey. Corey, you may be able to unmute yourself. Yep. Hi, Corey.
Here. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Koray Sadli. I have two questions regarding this MuseScore, because I am still much more using the MuseScore 3. It seems much easier for me to navigate the things, but I tried both actually, MuseScore 3 and MuseScore 4, and I couldn't really get the rhythmic grouping. If something is regular notation, I mean regular beaming, it's okay, but if it's irregular, like 9/8, 7/8, and if I have to do 2/2/3 or 3/2/2, and I can do it, but it doesn't read back to me what beaming I am doing. That was my first question. Is there any improvement doing that? And the second question I have about the figured bass writing. If I put one single note, and if I have the two figured basses under one note, and it reads the first one, but it doesn't read the second one. So is there any way to read those two figured basses in one single, I mean, behind, under one single note? So thank you very much for that.
You're welcome. So the first question then, so the second one was figured bass. The first question, remind me what the first question was, sorry.
Beaming.
Beaming, yes, thank you. So I don't think there has been any changes to the speech output for beaming, but that's definitely something we should look into. As for figured bass, well, in MuseScore 4, there's lots of things that we took apart and redid from the ground up in order to do things right that had previously been not done correctly, and but there were other things that just didn't change from MuseScore 3, and figured bass is one of those things. So at some point we should definitely look at figured bass, and I think there's lots of changes we could make to figured bass to make that a much smoother experience in MuseScore, but we're getting there slowly but surely.
Thank you so much. Thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much, and I'm looking forward to having that. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for your question, Corey. Okay, I'm going to go to, we have Alexandra back again. I'll bring you in a sec, Alexandra. We also have Annie. So Annie, I'm going to send you an unmute request if you'd like to try to unmute and ask your question, and then after that we will go back to chat.
Yes, I hope you can hear me now.
We can.
Yeah.
Great. It was me who asked the question about tempo. And as I see it, there's something missing accessible-wise, because I have done it that way in MuseScore 3 just to change the tempo in the play section where you can playback section, the playback pen, but I'm not able to see this percentage anymore in MuseScore 4.
That's right. Yeah. So I think the percentage, the tempo percentage only becomes available when the play panel is undocked from the toolbar, and I think the undocking is something that is not currently.
I'm afraid
yeah.
because I've tried it and this is not working. I thought it would work that way, but it didn't. So okay, great. A little short one is about these chords. I have had some of the same issues, and I'm not always able to see the chords and find the chords and to get them correct played, and how to find the chords in a piece of music. It's something that I think we'll have to go deeper into sometimes and find out how we can do that as blind people.
Do you mean finding chords or chord symbols?
Yeah, chord symbols. I'm not able to figure out where they are shown in a piece of music, but sometimes I can see that they are there. And when I convert to Braille, some of them is placed inside the right hand, and sometimes they are placed underneath, and it's sort of a mix sometimes. So I think it's something that we'll need to look into.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, great.
Okay, thank you very much, Annie, for your question. I will come back to raised hands in a sec. We'll just go back to Sharon to see if there's anything else on chat. I am conscious of time, and Peter and Sarah have been really generous in giving us their time. So I'm conscious not to hold them more than we need to, but let's see in 6 minutes or so if we can answer as much as we can. So Sharon, is there anything you wanted to mention to us?
Oh, there's plenty.
Okay.
But I'll pick a few.
Okay.
Is it possible to change the Braille font size in the live view?
That's a good question. I will try that
From
now
Nigel.
while you go to the next question.
Yeah, and
Okay.
can I also say that if we miss somebody today, if we don't get to your question or something isn't answered, please send me an email from the email you received with your registration link, and I will collate some questions. And Peter, if it's okay, I might pass them on to you.
Yeah, so I just tried it, and I know it's not possible to change the Braille font size. I think you can change the size of the UI text in preferences appearance, but the Braille font is not increasing when I change that value. So that is something we should look at, definitely.
Great. And also, do the Braille files include the words as well for songs that have words?
So the Braille files exported by MuseScore from the file menu, export Braille, they do not include the words. They don't include the lyrics to the songs, but the lyrics are available in the Braille panel when you're within MuseScore. And if you export music XML and then convert music XML with the SoundMy converter, then you will get the lyrics. So it's only a matter of time before we get them in MuseScore as well, but definitely in the meantime and for the foreseeable future, if you're producing Braille for a serious usage and not just for like learning or or embossing, definitely you want to be using an external Braille converter.
Yeah, this is for Fee singing. She sings in choirs, so that would be why the words are important.
And it's worth mentioning the SoundMy Music XML to Braille converter is free. So if you search online for SM Music Braille, it's free. It's a web page. You don't have to register. You just get a music XML file you created in MuseScore, upload it to the web page. You've got to tell it some preferences about how you want the Braille to come back, and then it will give you the Braille back. So it's completely free.
Great. Hopefully, Fee, that answered your question. And do I have time for one more?
Yeah, go for it.
Kind of two parts from Stefan. How do you switch the Braille input so that you can write 16th notes instead of whole notes?
That is a good question, and I know that that is possible, but I forget what the shortcut is for that. But we have some documentation that I will get out for you to remind myself of how that is done.
Great, great. And also Stefan is working on a Mac, and unfortunately the Braille doesn't show up on his Braille display.
Yes, we have had some reports that the Braille's not working with connected Braille displays on the Mac. So at the moment, it looks like it might only be working with NVDA. Again, that's something that we would hope to solve if we bypass the current third-party library we're using and go straight to the Braille device, as I mentioned earlier.
Great, thanks for that. Thanks, Peter. Stuart, did you want to?
I'll just
last
bring
couple of hands.
bring a few hands. Yeah, we have 2 left. So we're going to try Alexandra again. Alexandru, sorry. Alexandra, I hope you can unmute yourself this time. Apologies, but there we go. We have you.
Hello. Question regarding scrolling. I heard James Bowden reading a whole bar, but if you wanna use, as they call them, your panning keys on the display, I mean, to go through the whole thing, is this possible, or do you have to go back the score, select the next note or the next bar, whatever, and come back to the Braille view, forget how to call it, Braille,
Yes,
whatever.
the Braille
Yeah,
view,
Braille.
that's right. So I believe the shortcut is Control Right, and that will take you to the next measure, and then next measure should pop up on the Braille display.
On the Braille display. But
Yeah.
apparently not possible to scroll directly from the Braille display, right?
No, as I said, we're not reading any input from the Braille display. We're just sending it the messages that we want it to show.
I think, sorry, Alexandra, if I'm to understand, you want to know, can you continue panning through bars, each bar at a time? Is that the question?
Correct. This is
Yeah,
correct.
so I don't think he's asking about entering from the Braille display, Peter. He's asking, can he continue to use the scroll keys on the Braille display to continue scrolling the music, or does he have to press Control right arrow each time to move to each new bar?
So if the bar doesn't fit on your Braille display, you can use the panning keys to read the rest of the current bar. But once you reach the end of the bar, you're then going to have to press Control Right to go to the next bar.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
You're
Alexandra. Good to hear from you. Thanks a million. Okay, and last hand of the day is from Salvi Goma. I really hope I'm pronouncing these names correctly. Salvi, hopefully you can unmute yourself. If you would like to try to unmute yourself. I think we have you there.
Hello.
Hi there.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
We can.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just wanted to ask about the speech output, because as we could see in the video, it's a lot to listen to when you get all the information. And sometimes you need that. You need to know all the dynamics, everything. But sometimes if you're practicing, I don't know with you, but I'm sometimes dividing it. So I just look the notes and then I look at the dynamic and make it in such steps. Is there some settings to limit what the speech is telling or not? Or do you plan to make such settings that you can have everything, or you can maybe have just less information sometimes?
We don't currently have a setting to do that. What we do instead is we try to give you the most useful information first, and then at any time you could press the control key to stop the screen reader from saying anything more. So firstly, it will tell you the name of the note that is selected and the beat in the bar. and then it will start telling you the incidental information, like, oh, it has an accidental, it has a articulation, it has some text or whatever, and you can press control before it gets there if you don't want to hear that.
Yeah, I see. But sometimes I may want to know only the articulation, but not the dynamics or things like that. I'm reading Braille music, but I can imagine if you use only the voiceover feature, it's really important to get what you need in a quick tempo and not more. So maybe that's something to look at, and at least making it not telling things twice, because I could hear in the video sometimes it was really telling some things twice.
Yeah, that's a good point. And obviously, we don't want to repeat anything unnecessarily. That is definitely worth investigating whether we can. I don't know. You have to have some kind of shortcuts to allow you, because you wouldn't want to go into preferences and every time you want to stop hearing the articulations, say. So it would have to be some keyboard shortcut. So that's it's a good idea. We'll take some thought to figure out the best way to implement that.
Thank you. Just another short suggestion for practice purposes. Is there a shortcut to play the current bar or the current voice?
Other than the spacebar to commence playback, I don't think there is a shortcut to just, although, yes, if you want to hear just one
bar or just one
staff,
voice.
we have a shortcut to do one staff. So if you, in MuseScore 4, if you create a range selection, so if you hold Shift and press the right arrow key to select a few notes in a row, if you then press the space bar, the playback will only play the staff that is currently selected. But I don't think we have a shortcut to just play a measure or just a specific voice from that bar.
I had that in another program, and that was very, very useful, especially when showing the Braille at the same time. Then I was able to practice very quick.
Well, that's great. And if you do have examples of other software, then feel free to go onto the MuseScore forums and let us know exactly how you would like it to work.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Maybe writing.
Thank you, Sylvie, for your questions. Fantastic. Okay, that is just about it. 4 minutes past the hour. We didn't do too badly at all. I want to sincerely thank Sarah Morley-Wilkins and Peter Jonas. And Peter, thank you for answering all the questions. Sarah, thank you for all that you do for the community. I think not just in this project, but for many, many years of work that I think it would be too long to go into talk about now. But I feel, guys, we could have had you here for 6 hours. So maybe you'd come back again. But thank you so much, everybody. Our next webinar Wednesday is taking place on the 6th of March. We look forward to seeing you all back then, or some of you at least, I hope. From Sharon, myself, and everybody else at Sight and Sound, take care and thank you for joining us. And we'll speak to you all soon. Thanks so much.